prepared position to function in this pandemic the way I really feel that I should be. However, we're moving forward with both developing the South Bronx Emergency Network and also getting our stride in participating in the effort to respond to this emergency. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We're developing the infrastructure for the South Bronx Emergency Network. And what that is a something called a COAD. A COAD is, that's COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disasters. So
yeah, can you run that again, Wally? Run that again.
We are developing what you call a COAD.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
A COAD. That's C like Charlie, O like Oscar, A like Apple, D like Delta, COAD. And it's an acronym for Community Organizations Active in Disaster. And what that is actually trying to get the community together, the organizations in the community together to do what they do, not to come out of their the way they operate, but do what they do and work together in a cooperative effort to respond to the emergency at hand, because no government can take care of all of its people at the same time. That's something that people are not familiar with. People think that the government can handle everything. The government, obviously, and you're seeing it right now, cannot handle everything, but there are resources within the community that can help to service the members of the community. So this is what a COAD is about, and this is what we are developing. And we were in the process of developing it when this hit. So in the process of developing it and then trying to respond at the same time was a bit much, but we are attempting to do all of it at the same time. Our response, it took us a while to get it up and running, but what we're looking at doing is giving out masks in the community, a package of masks, gloves, actual election pamphlets, and census information and census notifications. And so this is going to be our response at this time. We are also involved with Harlem Emergency Network, which has been from the actual start giving out information for the public that we felt was not being given out by the mainstream media and the information coming from governmental sources. For example, if the information that was given out was that if you feel sick, go home for 3 days, and if you didn't get better, go to the hospital. Well, what do you do in those 3 days? You just go home and twiddle your thumbs and hope that you get better? Or are there some steps that you might be able to take that might help you? So this is where our organization stepped in. And came up with some options that people could take. We didn't claim to be doctors. We didn't claim to have the answer or the cure, but we did claim that there are methods and very available situations that could allow people to see if they can get better during that period of time. And a lot of it works. I personally even feel that some of the information that I got from my own people helped me personally. So,
wow.
So that's pretty much some of the things that we've been doing. And we're looking to step up our game. And as this thing moves forward, whether or not it's over, and our thing is not just about the COVID-19, our thing is about disaster altogether. And it's been proven that places where there has been, this has been an all-out study actually, and it was proven by the scholars that places that recovered and became resilient after a major disaster, such as a tsunami, such as a major hurricane, earthquake, any of these things, even pandemics, everything. And any disaster, they studied and found out that all things being equal, the places that recovered quickly and were actually resilient were the common factor in there was the community working together. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about tools. It really wasn't even about a whole lot of training. It was about the community working together. So this is where our head is at right now. This is the direction that we're in. That's why we're pulling community organizations together. Normally, community organizations have their own silos. I mean, not only organizations, city agencies, governmental agencies, each one has its own silo and they do their own thing. And that is not the best way to respond to a disaster. You gotta
Grant houses community radio, the soul of the Upper West Side.
That's right.
Hey, Wally, so community co-eds, the second letter, what does that stand for?
Community organization active in disaster.
You say active?
Yes, no, the second letter is O, which stands for community organizations active in disaster, co-eds.
Okay, right, got it. Wow, that's a lot, man. That's a whole handful right there. Do you find that, how are people now accepting being a part of COADS and Harlem Emergency Network and all the work that you're doing as far as safety and preparedness? Are people more accepting to it now?
People are mostly listening to it now. Where I think the biggest problem is being that most places were not prepared to deal with this. There's not a lot of information as to how to deal with this. And people are, one of the things that we say is that if you wait till the event happens to start to plan, it's too late.
Right,
Okay? And
right.
so as far as planning and, getting ready and emergency preparedness and all of that, basically it's too late. So now you've got to be responding on the fly. You got to kind of use whatever you know and go in there.
Mhm. So who would you say out of all the groups, older women, older men, younger men, younger women, teens, who has been the group that has taken more as a group to being a part of this work?
I don't think it's an age group, even though you could say it was in an age group. I think one of the things that I'm seeing is a lot of organizations that were functioning. Some of the community centers that really had their youth together and had programs together. Some of the organizations, like over in the up here in the Webster projects, and um, uh, I can't think of right now. Some of the names escape me, and I shouldn't because they're doing a lot of work. Michael Blake, who is the state assemblyman in this area, he's kind of leading a campaign toward getting food out to people. He's working, he's in the forefront of it. And there's a lot of basic community organizations that are functioning in it. So and the organizations that have youth, a lot of the youth are really stepping to the plate as far as delivering foods like to people that are homebound, and just packing foods and making food packages and deliver and giving out food. They have given out many thousands of distributed many thousands of packages of food to the community. So that is what I'm seeing that the community is mostly getting. The other part is, and this is something that Harlem Emergency Network has been doing, is getting information out to people. Getting people to get information. Is being that the information has been changing quickly. A lot of people in the community, in our community, that are not, what would I say, savvy, technologically savvy. We have a big population, a big homeless population, and people that really do not spend a lot of time listening to the daily news and whatnot. So these people have to be informed on what needs to be done. I mean, it took a good while for a lot of people to really get the understanding of why they needed to wear a mask. I mean, it's getting out, it's getting out there now, but it took a while. I mean, a lot of people think, well, they said wear a mask. In some areas, when you wore a mask, you looked like you was crazy, But now it's starting to catch on, and it's the minority now are people that are wearing masks, and the majority of people, the majority of people are wearing masks, and now it's the minority. Whereas 2 weeks ago it was the opposite. I'd say almost a week ago it was opposite. It's just recently that it really changed up.
Right. Now, I understand that for some reason the Bronx got hit very hard with this coronavirus. Can you speak to that? like why that is, and is that correct? That they,
Yes, I can speak to why it is, because the Bronx had already been in an emergency. The Bronx has been in a health emergency for years. And there have
wow.
been organizations in the Bronx, like Bronx Health Reach, and I don't know if you've heard of the Not 62 campaign. There's been all kinds of organizations and demonstrations and meetings going on in the Bronx about the Bronx being the worst out of 62 counties in New York State for health disparities. Okay. And
Ah,
one
man.
of the reasons that, as a person that's been in the Bronx for quite a while, one of the reasons I see is that the Bronx is a dumping ground for agencies and community organizations and programs that deal with people with health disparities. So you will find in the Bronx that people come from Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, all over the place that have health issues, whether they are physical health issues or mental health issues, and this is where they're ending up. So the Bronx has quite, I'd say, an overpopulation of people with health problems. Okay, you have a big homeless situation up here. So we recently had a meeting, Bronx Health Reach. That's an organization that's been in the forefront for the last 4 or 5 years in the campaign for a healthy Bronx, the Not 62 campaign. They've been in the forefront. They recently had, and they've been trying for over 2 or 3 years to get a meeting with the Mayor de Blasio. And they recently finally got that meeting with him and sit down and try to make the Bronx some kind of priority in the New York City's health situation, because every time any organization or anybody ever brought up the situation, they would say, well, you're getting the same amount as Brooklyn, and you're getting the same amount as Manhattan, and you're getting the same amount of resources and money coming in that way. But this needs to be a priority, because this is the worst. This is the worst county out of 62 counties in New York State. So how are you going to give us the same as everybody else? We need to be some type of priority. So with that kind of situation going on, and then you have a disease that comes in that says, I'm looking for old people and I'm looking for people with health disparities. Well, what do you know? I found the Bronx. So that's one big reason why the Bronx because the Bronx is the worst out of 62 counties with health disparities. And these health disparities don't just range with diabetes and asthma and heart. When we talk about health disparities, we're talking about things like including housing and the judicial system and, oh man, sanitation, and I mean, the whole gamut of things. So all of these things contribute to the Bronx being one of the worst hit.
Right. Now, what would you say if I said to you that what you just said, Bronx being in a health emergency, could actually be a huge opportunity?
Well, one of the things that makes it a real opportunity, that if people really want to be a part of the Bronx, then this gives them an opportunity to really start to work together. They have a reason that, to come out. One of the issues that I think is formidable in the Bronx. It's a very transit place. People come today and they're going tomorrow. So it makes it a little difficult for a person to, what would I say, feel like a real part of the Bronx. But those individuals that do feel that they are a part of the Bronx, this gives them a little more strength to, and a little more reason why they need to come together, need to find ways to better the situation. And when you point out a situation where coming together can help, and you just being locked up in your apartment and think that that's gonna, save you, that this type of thing is what will change people's minds and make people kind of work together. One of the things that I used to notice is that when you had a big problem, that's when people used to speak to each other. Like if you got a big snowstorm and everybody's stuck, people would get out and help each other push cars, even when you're walking, even when you're walking by people, they say good morning, or they say, man, there's a lot of snow. Yeah, and you just keep going. Whereas normally, each person would look the other way and walk by each other. So when you have a situation like this, it tends to make people want to come together to figure this out, and to work together. And once you can get that initial situation going where people can start to communicate with each other, then if you have some kind of structure where you can keep them together communicating, then you have you can build on that.
Yeah.
But you got to have the structure there, because what generally happens when the snowstorm comes, everybody's friendly, and then when the snow melts, everybody melts back into their old silo. You understand?
Right.
So what we have to do is to have something that keeps the people together when the situation goes away.
Right. Wow. I have a lot of respect for the Bronx. I mean, from when I was a kid, I had a lot of family that lived in the Bronx. So what I would like for you to do is recommend some people that I could speak to that can speak to this situation. And we need to talk to people and get the word out. I think that would help, and I think that would make a difference. And I'm quite sure that you have people that you could direct me to speak to, as well as you coming back and talking. Because don't you come on a regular and on a DHCR?
I'm a more of a behind the scenes person. I don't.
Right. I got that. Let me just say this. You behind the scenes person, but like I've had some pretty cool things happen in my life. Pretty cool things, like boxing and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Winning fights in Madison Square Garden. And I was telling Doug earlier, I won the gold medal in the Empire State Games, and actually, the tournament we started in the Bronx at Roberto Clemente, and then we fought there. So everybody, so either you from Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx. Once we got the team together, then we went up to Syracuse. So we won the gold medal, but it was in the Bronx, Roberto Clemente. So I have a lot of respect for the Bronx, but then one of the greatest things that happened for me is when Brother Leroy introduced me to you. Yeah. And by him introducing me to you, and you put me a part of Harlem 411, I went on to do over 900 shows, produce, host, and engineer over 900 shows. Now, when I first went there, if you'd have told me, yeah, you're gonna do over 900 shows, I said, come on. I mean, that was like, what?
No, I'm not gonna say that, because when I told you got to get some guests, and you said, well, hey man, I can get all the guests I need. And
no, that was later. That was later on. That wasn't in the beginning. you know, and then another big part that you played, because one of the guys that helped me in the end when I was like really struggling with the board, Patrick came and helped me. He was only 16.
Yeah.
He's my teacher. He was your student. Now I'm his student. He's 16. I said, look at this. Patrick, 16, my teacher. And then Honey is another one. I think she went on to do some incredible things, but she came there with you and got empowered, and she inspired me. Come on, Rick. She said, hey, come on, Rick, you gotta, because I was kind of hesitant. I was a little hesitant, especially with that board. I was like hesitant. And she said, look at Sin K. You got to be like Sin K. Come on, you got to get in there. And I will never forget that inspiration that she gave me. But all of that came from you. So you did one of the greatest things for me in my life. Having me to be a part of WHCR and a part of the Harlem 411 team. So, I mean, there's probably other people that I'm not even naming that had an impact from the work that you did there and in other places.
Yeah. Well,
what you say about that?
We kind of were looking at Harlem 411 as like the jazz messengers. Like I used to say, the jazz messengers, all of the great jazz musicians at some point in time played with the jazz messengers. Even if they weren't in it, they played on stage with them. Somewhere along the line, they was connected to the jazz messengers, or they had a musician that came out of the jazz messengers. So we considered ourselves like the radio messages, we wanted the community to get involved, and we were a way that it could be done. Because myself personally, when I was very young, when I was like Patrick's age and Honey's age, at the time when they were there, I was like, that was my main thing. I wanted to be into radio. And when I went to try to do it, they wouldn't even open the door. I mean,
wow.
I think it was WNEW, one of those students. And I rang the bell and said, can I help you? And I said, I'd like to speak. And they wouldn't even open the door from the street.
Wow.
Furthermore, getting in. And, I worked in it. I never really got into it the way I really wanted to. But then, as time went on, I could see that probably the reason why, because in a lot of the cases when you're in the mainstream media, what you want to project to the people, you can't project. And so I think coming through WHCR, it was a better situation. I mean, I never make the money that somebody would make in mainstream media, but as far as your purpose, I think the purpose was much more achieved with WHCR than would have been achieved with WNEW or any of the other mainstream medias that I was attempting to get into.
Yeah, how did you connect with WHCR?
I got connected. There was a program called Islam in America, and I was connected with that. And the program manager, that was at another station. I forget the name of the station. It wasn't WEBD. I forget the name of the station anyway. And the program manager at WHCR, which WHCR was just operating like something like 8 hours a day, he was actually an engineer at this other station. So we got to talking, and so, I told him a little bit about my background. So he says, well, maybe you can come over there and, get involved with what we're doing. And so I did go, and at the time when I went, that's when WHCR was, really looking to extend its hours. And that's really why he was looking for me, because, they didn't have the people to extend the hours. Because prior to that, WHCR had pretty much been operated by one person that just used to put on tapes and walk away and come back and change the tapes. It was just all music. And so now they wanted to, make it more community orientated. And so, and they wanted to extend the time. So from 8 to 12 hours, now they wanted to make it 24. And so they needed more help. And I happened to be around, and that was my interest at that time. And so got involved that way.
Yeah. Wow. Lot of great information. You are part of them getting that $1.7 million grant and to build that new beautiful studio. So you are part of that made that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is
I was
Patrick
involved with the company that actually built it.
Look at that.
That actually, wow. When I say built it, I don't mean the walls, but I'm talking about the electronic equipment and all of the electronic and electrical installation.
Wow.
That's what we did.
Amazing. What is Patrick and Honey doing now?
Wow. Patrick just graduated from college. He's the first person in his family to graduate from college. And he works in after-school programs. And I think he has he works around youth. He does a lot of work around youth. And, he coming from a kid on the street, his brother Leroy had put out and it just goes to show you how just one or two people can come out of millions. Brother Leroy put out a challenge to the audience, and Brother Leroy had quite an audience. I'd say at least thousands of people used to listen to him. And he said, bring your youth in, and I'll try to train them. Well, two people brought their youth at the day that he told the people. Out of all that entire audience, only two people brought their youth. And Brother Leroy was a little late that day. And one of the persons, oh, wow, what kind of business is this? He's not even here. And so they left. And the only person that stayed was Patrick's and his mother. And so everybody kind of helped Patrick along, to develop. He was a kid that, hadn't touched any of this stuff, didn't know anything about it, but he was willing to learn, he was willing to listen, and he got in trouble a couple of times. We had to step in to try to hold him there because he got in trouble one time where they would get ready to kick him out of the whole place. So we said, he's just a kid, but if you kick him out, then you're kicking the kid into the street, so.
Right.
So anyway, we kept him in there, and he developed, and actually we had a scouting unit going, and he became part of that and became a great leader with the youth, because we were up in age, and he was the connection between us and the youth, and so and from there he had his problems, because he came out from the neighborhood. So he had some of the issues that some of the youth had in the neighborhood, but he was able to overcome and started going to college and went and completed.
Wow, that's awesome.
Honey
That's awesome.
is another story altogether. I mean, she there was a point she had a medical situation and had a serious operation. And after that operation, she really was kind of in a depressed state. And once she came out to the station, it kind of opened her up a little bit. And you express, you know, how she had developed there, but she didn't stop there. She is now going for a PhD, or
Oh my God!
going
Oh,
for it, or she got it. I mean, I don't know which one it is. She's either going for it or she's got it. Both her and Mahadi, which is her sister. And I'm not talking about no City College stuff. I'm talking about Columbia.
Wow.
Okay, so that, you know, I don't know all the details, but I do know that they really are excelling. You know.
Wow, man.
Really, really,
Wow.
really are excelling. So,
well, you know, Wally, I actually got to run, but all I want to do is say thank you, man. And we got to do this again.
Okay. All right. Thanks for being
you,
patient
man.
with me today. Yeah.
Thank you, man. You. Okay. I got to run, man.
Okay.
Talk to you soon. That was awesome, man.
All right.
All right. This is Rick tuning off. CHCR, Grant University, 95.9 FM. The voice of Grant Project. And thank you to engineer Doug Fraser for the great work that he's doing. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Yes, Rick. I gotta go. Gotta make that call. Okay, guys. Thank you, man. All right. That was beautiful, man.
I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Limit of